There are some movies when you watch in the theater, it makes you question the job that you are doing, the purpose in your life, and whether it all has any point. So much so that it makes you have an existential crisis and has you on the verge of quitting too. Masti 4 is that film probably becoming not just the worst movie of this year, but one of the worst Hindi movies I have ever seen. Of course, I'm not stepping in for a film for something profound or intellectually stimulating. I know what I'm stepping in for. It's a brain rot comedy that is going to deal with jokes that will be immature and mostly below the belt, literally. But it absolutely blows my mind that I sat through a 2 hour and 24-minute film and did not even chuckle once. A screenplay written by visionary filmmaker Milap Zaveri, it is the kind of atrocity that reviewers should be given the responsibility to guard the audience from. Think of me as Hodor holding the door for all of you guys as you escape. Not that you guys were going to watch this anyway, but revel in my frustration and anger in this video. I only after 1 hour of the movie realized what the key demographic of this film is. It is older married men who are frustrated in their loveless marriages and cannot wait for that first trip with the boys to cheat on them. The movie is meant for the men who sit around with each other in circles as they complain कि आजकल की लड़कियों का बहुत चिक चिक होने लग गया है. That's the demographic, who believe the sole purpose of women is to offer sex and look eternally youthful and hot, while their pot bellies and receding hairlines are doing them no favors. This movie focuses on three characters who are frustrated in their marriages and are envious of Arshad, Warsi and Nargis, Fakhri, who even after 10 years of marriage seem to be happy with each other, only to get to know that the reason why they have a stable relationship is because both of them get a love visa, or what is popularly known as a hall pass, for 1 week in a year. In this week, they can make all their fantasies come true and go back to their relationship as if nothing happened. When the three men communicate the same to their wives, hoping that they grant the same to them, they are met with anger and resistance, only to eventually accept, and the escapades that follow is Mastiii 4. I don't give a crap about spoilers. This video is a PSA for all of you not to watch the film. I know I always preface my reviews as eventually you deciding whatever you want to do, but this is the rare instance where I am telling you not to watch the film, and hence I will not care about spoilers too. It's an assault to the senses. I have more or less lost my mind too, so see an unhinged Anmol tell you every single detail on why you should not watch the film. When these three men go on their escapades to cheat on their wife with their approval, they are mostly met with awkward situations, only to come back to their wives and for them to surprise the husbands as they pack their bags to go for their own vacation, aka love visa, something the men cannot understand because it's only men who are horny and women have no desires, right? So the film carries on where the men try to sabotage every relationship or fling that the women chance upon. A continuation of the gag from the older films have been altered in this movie because it's slightly jarring to call a girl Rosemary Marlowe, so the name has been altered by the glorious CBFC to Rosemary Carlo. They had a problem with Superman's kiss, but not a girl shaking her assets in front of camera, desperate to be boned, only to say मैं रोज सुबह आईपीएल खाऊंगी. All meant as a comedic gag, of course. The moment I saw this entire movie being set in the UK, I realized that this is another means by which producers somehow justify even filming this movie. For anyone that knows the benefits of film productions shooting in these locations, it deserves an investigative deep dive, because for the movie itself to be approved after the last film being a colossal disaster, it is a mystery in itself. I grew up with Vivek Oberoi being the handsome hunk of Bollywood. My man had a charm and presence in front of camera that everyone assumed he would give competition to the likes of Riteish and Shahid. But why does he need to do this movie is beyond my understanding too. You boast about your net worth and the crazy investments you're making in life. You should be above such filth. I sometimes am baffled by how one can be surrounded by such opulence and riches, but still have no sense prevailing and understanding that the association with this movie, you look absolutely embarrassing. What also is absolutely illogical is that the three husbands in this movie are desperate to cheat on their wives because they aren't getting any from their partners. But the first scene is Riteish Deshmukh presumably boinging on his bed with a blonde and almost getting caught by his wife. So the man was already cheating on his wife, but logic does not prevail in this movie. Riteish Deshmukh in this movie is an animal mater. He dresses up like a tiger and growls in an odd fashion so as to attract the male tiger to boing the female tiger. I seriously empathize with the UK extras in the background of this movie because one, they are terrible actors, and two, I'm sure they were not aware of the atrocity they had signed up for. When his growling goes wrong and the male tiger starts approaching him instead of the female tiger, he says, खाने से पहले क्या क्या करेगा शेर का इंसान के साथ मिलन होगा. And as the movie progresses, you realize that it is sleazy in its portrayal of women, yes, but even more so, it is a movie obsessed with bestiality. I genuinely believe that PETA will have a huge issue with this movie because it constantly showcases animals engaging in activities, sometimes even literally engaging in coitus with humans. The frustrated married uncle jokes are present in plenty. Vivek Oberoi selling a broken down car for £5 million. The catch being that the car has gone through 10 accidents. And in all the instances, only the wife has died, leading to all the men bidding for more because, they want their wife dead. That's the joke. Vivek is reclining seats with a hot model only to say हम decline हो रहे हैं और कुछ और incline हो रहा है. I shouldn't be shaming anyone, but the plastic surgery is off the roof in this film. Having these close-ups on actors who can barely move their face, and you really pity the desperation for work because this is what was offered to them. Aftab Shivdasani is the most irritating in this movie with his big eyes and grunting and yelling most of the time, and his wife is the most secular individual loving all religions and festivals, each wife having their own eccentricities. Riteish's wife, played by Elnaaz, loves poor people, and Vivek's wife keeps a health app to track his body's blood flow and to make sure he doesn't get horny outside the purview of their home. Nargis Fakhri absolutely blows my mind because she is barely being able to move in that one dance number that she features in, and just like Jamie from Tried&Refused Productions, is clearly in some instances reading through a teleprompter. She struggles with her Hindi dialogues like a kindergarten student performing in a poetry recitation competition. It's absolutely atrocious. Arshad Warsi with his hall pass is surrounded by UK models who seem to have been instructed to walk and jump as much as they can so that the important elements in the frame move as much as they can. Milap Zaveri considers himself to be the descendant of Manmohan Desai, equating his movies to be massy and meant for the larger audience, and all he does in this movie is create analogies with cricket. Everything is referenced as no ball pe free hit, chakka, chokka, and one should commend such bottom of the barrel effort. The movie and the three husbands' escapades and what they will achieve is mentioned with parallels to India's achievements of Chandrayaan and winning the Cricket World Cup. Nargis describes all men as agar thoda aur wait kar lete the unhe better model mil jati when choosing their wives. The camera work of this movie is obsessed with the assets of the female actors. Watching this on the big screen with half the screen covered with their said assets, I realized that this movie is also meant for repressed. A girl is presented approaching Aftab, a Thai masseuse, only to realize that she is a ladyboy desperate for action. Riteish Deshmukh, while contemplating his failed love visa, looks at a camel and says, "Inke paas to do hump hai aur mere paas ek bhi hump nahi." In probably the wildest sequence from the movie, a girl sprays this Viagra equivalent on Riteish Deshmukh, which leads to several CGI animals appearing and humping him in any space they could find on his body. A sequence that carries on for so long, I wondered who is this humor working for. An old woman appears while Vivek is blindfolded only to make out with him and lose her dentures in his mouth. Again the analogies follow, जैसे pitch पुरानी थी, bouncer पे hook shot, full toss पे भी मैं defense ही करूँगा to describe all their escapades. They do everything to sabotage the women and their flings. They even put anti-Viagra pills in their drinks so that they can't perform with their partners. In the UK also, when the women are showcased as being harassed, it's the Indians who are misbehaving. The new hunk appears, one of which is Tushar Kapoor, by the way, playing this Indian and Russian mix straight out of Saif Ali Khan's role in Go Goa Gone, and his entire shtick is to end sentences with Va. His name is Pablo Putinva, calls Elnaaz Sharapova, and dances still after 20 years in the industry like he has two left feet. The songs are terrible in this movie. At least the first Mastiii had Chain Khuli Ki Main Khuli and something as dramatic as Dil De Diya Hai. Here it's genuinely just crass noise. I'm 30 years old now and I can't believe that Hindi cinema has not evolved from susu potty jokes even now. Every gag is related to such acts. They literally let out a snake so that it can attack one of the hunk's junks, and for 5 minutes they keep on playing tug of war with the snake holding on to said junk. As I previously said, there is literally a scene of a horse mating with Aftab Shivdasani, leading to his bum becoming swollen and huge. Aftab poses as a pregnant lady so that his wife does not go for a getaway with this new hunk. They stop his car midway only to be escorted to the hospital, where the joke is that Aftab keeps on farting. The fart is then to be deciphered on whether it is rajma chawal or chole bhature. The hint of hing is noticed that makes them question their analysis. It's excruciating and painful. They distract the people and take out a CGI black baby out of nowhere. The Hriday Parivartan of realizing that their wives are the best is so lazy, as they just see some random person doing feras with their partner at their wedding and then realize that they've been wrong all along. In one sequence, they are hiding from the hunks who are chasing them because they realize that it's them who put anti-Viagra in their drinks, only to hide in a hospital room where they mistakenly put their hands on stool that is lying in a bucket, and so that they don't make noise, they cover each other's mouth with said stool. It is one of the most disgusting scenes I've ever seen in the history of cinema. The wives forgive the husbands because they went out of their way to sabotage their flings, making them conclude that they really care. No, the reason why they are sabotaging your flings is because their fickle egos could not handle the fact that you had the idea of having a love visa too. They just wanted to keep it for themselves, concluding by stating that they may have apologized, but they have every intention to do this again, because otherwise, who will do Mastiii 5? You. If you ever did that.